Sabrina Miraj Naeem. With me is Cassia Binkowski, and this is Breaking Glass, a series of conversations with women around the world who are shattering glass ceilings and challenging social norms. They are audacious, gutsy, and their stories are echoed across borders and generations in a rallying cry that is changing the narrative for women everywhere. Today we head to London to speak with the CEO of Girls Not Brides, Dr. Faith Mwangi Powell, who is actually from Kenya. And I have to say, as not the first woman from Kenya that we've spoken to, I love them all.
We love them all. They're so fun. They're so intelligent. They've worked so hard. And the conversations are always funny.
Super funny, uplifting, even though this topic is not. But Dr. Faith was born in rural Kenya to a village chief, and both of her parents really supported her path in education. She is a highly educated woman, has her PhD, and actually was in a career in public health and population studies before she decided to pivot to this issue of child marriage, which is, I guess, surprisingly really prevalent and always around us. Even though it's not something we're seeing in our backyard, it is something that we've talked about a number of times on this show with past guests.
It's true. I mean, some 650 million women around the world are suffering the consequences of child marriage. We've spoken about it with Esther Amini, Nazreen Sek, Ifra Ahmed, and several other guests. And it's a lot closer to home, Sabrina, as you know, than most people would think.
That's true. It's something that I've talked about also with previous generations of my family, not so far removed. And even though we don't necessarily see this so prevalently in our own backyard, it is a global issue. It's an epidemic that is still persisting. I mean, just now, if you look at the news, the Taliban has taken over Afghanistan, and we're seeing forced child marriages happen right in front of our faces. So this is an incredibly timely issue. It is so relevant all around the world, and Dr. Faith is truly a champion for change. Take a listen. Dr. Faith, thank you so much for joining us today. We're so pleased to have you on the show.
I'm pleased to be here, and thank you for having me. It's a great privilege to be with you guys.
Absolutely. And you know, the conversation and the topic that we're going to be delving into is actually something that has kind of organically come up again and again in recent conversations, which is all about child marriage. And we really wanted to kind of talk to an expert, someone who knows about the state of the issue around the world. But before we kind of delve into that, you are sitting in London right now. We want to hear a little bit about your background and your story. Where are you from? What did your early career look like? Tell us a little bit about the early years.
Oh, we might have all day to tell you about my journey. But thank you again for having me. I'm from Kenya, Nairobi, Kenya. That's where I grew up. But I grew up in actually a small village, kind of in central Kenya. So I didn't grow up in the city. I'm a village girl, that's what I say, who has come to London to try and solve some of the problems of the world. So I'm very excited and feel very privileged. And my journey really started with my own mother, my late mother, who passed away last year. And it's just because she was a leader of women, and I would sit in the middle in a circle as she's working with all women leaders in the village, telling them about the money they have in the bank and helping them write their statements and all that. And one of the things which struck me was, why were all these women not educated? What went wrong? And that, to me, kind of really cemented my need, my desire to do something for women.
Was your mother educated?
She wasn't educated. It's very interesting that my own mother came for my PhD in Exeter. And it was so interesting here in the UK, and the local newspaper picked her up. So we have a headline news: a village mother travels to UK for her daughter's graduation. And it was a most proud moment for my mom to be part of that graduation, because she knew. I always say that we enjoy the destination because we know how far we have come. So she knew how far we had come. So for me, that was just amazing. And even now, I was telling you, and it's a couple of years ago, I still feel a bit goosebumps because it was such an exciting opportunity. And despite her lack of education, I think what she had, the resolve to do better for fellow women, is what actually maybe I took from her. and a solution, not somebody sitting on the sidelines.
I love that. And I just want to highlight the fact that actually you're not the first Kenyan who's been on the show. We've had quite a few. And one of the themes, regardless of, all of our guests from Kenya have kind of worked in different realms, whether it's, environmental conservation or education, or now the work that you're doing with women and child marriage. But there's a similar theme, which is strong women, the knowledge that education is the key to everything, and a desire to kind of break the chain of oppression from generations before. And I just want to say that I think it's a really incredible theme that we've seen specifically from our guests from Kenya, and something that we really should learn so much more about, across the board. And your career did not start in child marriage. Talk to us a little bit about the path of how you got here.
My career actually started in community health. I trained to be a community oral health, kind of dental health. And I worked in my rural village, my hospital, district hospital, as a community oral health officer, where my job was to work with literally all levels of community health, as you think, but really focused on dental health. So, and the choice was to go on and be a dentist and all that. But I really felt that there was so much different about community engagement, working with women and children and listening to all the challenges they were facing. And I got an opportunity to go back to the college where I was trained to teach. And I was teaching there, and I was working with young students, thinking about the courses they want to take. And I got an opportunity to do a master's degree at the UK. And when I came, I was actually coming to do a master's degree in education so that I can go back and teach. And I really felt this is not for me. And I just started talking with a colleague actually from Kenya who I met on the flight to the UK. And she was telling me she's going to study population and population dynamics and how population issues affect women and fertility and all that. And I thought, that is so fascinating. And I got to the university, and it's so funny because the first thing I did, instead of going for registration, I went to the department and I said, can I change my course? And they looked at me like, you haven't even gone into the class. Well, I said, no, I don't think I want to study education. I want to study population, and these are my qualifications. And it was so interesting. They did an assessment and they said, yes, you qualify. And that was the age when we were talking about women in development, thinking about the integration of gender in development, women in development. And I was thinking, what would I like to do? And looking back at my mother, she had actually been appointed as a village help to really look at contraceptives. How to bring family planning. We are talking the early 90s, the early 70s, when people are talking about family planning. And I remember as a small girl how my mother used to walk around to people's homes telling them about family planning, and people telling her, you have 10 children. Why are you the one telling us about family planning? And that really made me think, maybe this is something I need to study. What are the choices women make about sexuality and sexual reproductive health? And how does economic empowerment or education determine those choices? And that became my master's thesis. And that opened a new world I didn't even know existed, of women oppression and women discrimination and value and all that.